Whatever you don't change, you choose. That sentence sounds simple, but it carries a weight most people spend their lives avoiding. It means inaction is not neutral. It means delay is a decision. It means staying the same is an active vote for the life you are currently living, including the parts you complain about in private. People love to believe that not choosing keeps options open. It does not. It quietly locks them in. Every habit you tolerate, every situation you endure, every pattern you repeat without resistance becomes your signature. Time does not pause while you think. It moves, and with it, your choices harden into structure. The life you wake up to each day is not an accident. It is the accumulated result of what you allowed to continue. This is uncomfortable because it removes the safety of blame. You can no longer hide behind circumstances or timing. You have to face the truth that your current reality is the one you have been rehearsing day after day through what you refuse to change. Most people misunderstand choice because they imagine it as a dramatic moment, a bold declaration, a sudden leap. In reality, choice is quieter and far more brutal. It lives in the small tolerances, the job you stay in even though it drains you, the conversations you avoid even though they are necessary, the habits you know are eroding you but feel familiar enough to keep. These are not passive states. They are active agreements. You are signing the same contract every day you do nothing, and the terms do not improve with time. They compound. What feels manageable now becomes suffocating later. What feels temporary becomes permanent before you realize it. This is why whatever you don't change, you choose. You are choosing it again and again, not with enthusiasm, but with silence. Change feels heavy because it forces confrontation. It forces you to admit that something you built or accepted no longer serves you. That admission hurts the ego. It threatens identity. Many people would rather endure discomfort than admit they were wrong, mistaken, or naive. So they stay. They rationalize. They tell themselves stories about patience and loyalty and realism. But beneath those stories is fear. Fear of uncertainty, fear of loss, fear of stepping into a version of themselves that no longer has excuses. Staying the same protects those excuses. Change destroys them. That is why change feels dangerous even when staying is slowly killing your momentum. You are not afraid of change itself. You are afraid of the responsibility that comes after it. Every unchallenged pattern becomes a ceiling. At first, it feels like a floor, something stable you can stand on. Over time, it lowers. Opportunities begin to feel out of reach. Energy fades. Curiosity dulls. You wonder why life feels smaller than it used to. It is because you stopped raising the structure around you. You stopped renovating your habits, your thinking, your standards. Whatever you don't change calcifies. It becomes harder to move later because it has had time to root itself into your identity. You no longer say, "This is something I do." You say, "This is who I am." That is the trap. Once behavior becomes identity, change feels like betrayal of self instead of evolution. But identity is not fixed. It is maintained, and maintenance requires intervention. People often wait for motivation to change. That wait can last a lifetime. Motivation is unreliable because it is emotional. Change requires commitment, not feeling. It requires you to act even when nothing inside you feels ready. The mind will always present reasons to delay. It is designed to conserve energy, to avoid disruption. If you obey it without question, you will live a perfectly efficient life that never reaches its potential. Change requires you to override that default. It requires conscious friction. It requires you to do something different before you feel different. Whatever you don't change, you choose because the system inside you will always choose familiarity unless you intervene. There is a quiet cruelty in postponement. You tell yourself you will change later, when things calm down, when you know more, when you feel stronger. But later is not a destination. It is a concept that keeps moving as long as you do not act. Meanwhile, time keeps passing. Energy shifts. Responsibilities accumulate. Windows close. What was possible with effort becomes impossible with regret. You look back and realize the moment you were waiting for was the one you were already in. Whatever you didn't change back then, you chose to carry forward, and now it costs more to undo. Change is not always about dramatic transformation. Sometimes it is about removal, removing distractions, removing people who keep you small, removing narratives that no longer align with who you are becoming. These removals feel empty at first. You are left with space, silence, uncertainty. Many rush to fill that space because emptiness feels threatening. But that space is where new structure forms. If you do not protect it, the old patterns rush back in. Whatever you don't change will reclaim its position if given the chance. That is why change is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a discipline, a refusal to let entropy decide your future. Most people believe they are choosing between comfort and growth. In reality, they are choosing between familiar pain and unfamiliar effort. Familiar pain feels safe because it is predictable. You know exactly how it hurts. Unfamiliar effort feels risky because you do not know the outcome yet. But growth has always lived on the other side of that uncertainty. Whatever you don't change keeps you inside pain you already understand. Whatever you change opens the possibility of something better, even if it requires discomfort first. The cost of staying becomes invisible because it is spread over time. The cost of change is immediate, which is why it feels heavier. But immediate weight is easier to carry than lifelong regret. There is a point where not changing becomes self-betrayal. You know better, but you do nothing. You see the pattern, but you stay silent. You feel the misalignment, but you tolerate it. Over time, this erodes self-respect. You stop trusting yourself because your actions no longer match your awareness.